You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
The term polymath dates back to at least 1603, when it was first used in the title of a published work by the German Johann van Wowern. He defined polymathy as knowledge of various matters drawn from all kinds of studies, ranging freely through all the fields of the disciplines as far as the human mind, with unwearied industry, is able to pursue them. Historical figures who stand out for their knowledge and expertise typically operated in multiple fields and regularly are called polymaths. Examples include Leonardo da Vinci, Ibn Sina or Avicenna, Galileo Galilei, and Benjamin Franklin. Meanwhile, as the famed astronomer Carl Sagan in his TV series Cosmos said, "Who speaks for Earth? Perhaps no one. Perhaps someone already has, and we just didn't listen. Perhaps someone else would have, but we destroyed them before they had a chance." Sagan referred to the lost opportunities for those who never have a chance to develop their abilities. Today, literally billions in the global south and elsewhere face an uphill battle in achieving their full potential. But even if the cards are not quite stacked against you, even if you are, for all intents and purposes, a genius or polymath, it is not at all necessarily the case that history will give you its due. Few, after all, will remember an administrative genius. That is to say, before Wikipedia. Particularly in South Africa, the Dutchman Jan van Riebeeck is a name everyone knows. In 1652, he founded the first European trade mission in South Africa, which grew to become the Cape Colony. Riebeeck had an impressive career which spanned both South Africa and the East Indies, but it was Riebeeck's successor who covered no fewer than 4 continents in 35 years, in a wide range of functions. Zacharias Wagner, like Johann van Wowern, was born in Germany, but served the Dutch throughout his whole career. He took over the position from van Riebeeck in 1662, becoming the only German governor of the Cape, and was responsible for the commencement of the construction of the Castle of Good Hope, the oldest still existing building in South Africa, and where we are now. The fort was built when tensions between the Dutch and the Brits were on the rise, amid rumors of war, and was, in part, built by slave labor. The Dutch were unsure about the size of the local population and feared a revolt if they enslaved them. Instead, they brought in up to 60,000 enslaved people from Madagascar, Mozambique, the Dutch Indies, and India. That seems excessive, as building a modern-day skyscraper typically requires between 5,000 and 10,000 people from conception to completion, but employers at that time didn't have to worry about such pesky things as worker safety or healthcare. The castle is a 5-pointed fort, and the 5 bastions were named after the main titles of William III of Orange, the great-grandson of William the Silent. A bell tower was constructed over the main entrance and houses the oldest bell in South Africa, cast in Amsterdam in 1697, which, when struck, could be heard 10 kilometers away and was used to summon residents and soldiers when important announcements needed to be made. The castle was the first site in South Africa to be protected through recognition as a historical monument in 1936. Back to Wagner, for whom his time in the Cape was part of the twilight of his career. Wagner's wife passed away while in the Cape, and in 1667 he sold his 5 slaves from Bengal and returned to East Asia to manage an important but unsuccessful trade mission to a part of modern-day Indonesia. Wagner had first left for Batavia, the capital of Dutch East India, in 1642. Here, he had started off in the army, but worked in law and ran a trade mission in Japan, where he survived the Great Fire of Meiriki, which destroyed between 60 and 70% of Edo, modern-day Tokyo, and went on a peace mission to Indonesia. He also designed porcelain. However, before Wagner ran the Cape Colony, before he attempted to relate modern European medicine to the elite of Japan, Wagner had been based in Brazil as a soldier for the Dutch West India Company. Now, all of these administrative and bellicose roles of Wagner indeed are kept for posterity in Wikipedia, but will at best excite the occasional historian. Wagner, however, does have a legacy that goes much further. Zacharias, born in Dresden, early on left for Holland and ended up working with the famed Willem Blauw, a cartographer in Amsterdam, perhaps inspired by his mum, who was a painter. Wagner went to Brazil as a soldier, but is remembered for his role as writer and painter for the Governor-General of Dutch Brazil, John Maurice de Nassau-Siegen. Wagner kept a diary with, eventually, 109 watercolor drawings of curious fish, strange birds, useful and harmful animals, lovely tasty fruit, and nasty poisonous worms, and big brown or black people, which ended up being published as Tierbuch, Book of Animals, and was famed for its true-to-life representations of flora and fauna. Wagner returned to Holland in 1641, signed up as a soldier, but now for the eastern counterpart of the Dutch colonial enterprise, had a successful career in the east, became governor of the Cape, returned to the east, and after the failed trade mission in Indonesia, came back to Amsterdam in 1668, where he passed away shortly after. He left 500 guilders for the poor in the Cape Colony and was buried in the Old Church in Amsterdam, the oldest still standing building in the city. Wagner was an extensive traveler who filled a wide range of functions in several disciplines. He had started in map making, several times enlisted as a soldier, found lasting recognition as an illustrator, and traded, sought peace, and governed all these on an international level. What drove Wagner? Curiosity, lack of purpose, an inability to stay in one place for more than a few years? We simply don't know. Wagner is primarily remembered for his Brazilian Book of Animals, but performed at high levels in multiple disciplines, a true polymath. Wagner didn't end up in the obscurity which Sagan referred to, but it does seem that, though also successful as an administrator, Wagner might have also been able to aspire to much greater and longer-lasting heights. Certainly in South Africa, few remember Wagner. All know van Riebeek.